Day number 81, and I am still here. Had to do a couple of things on 2 days, but I am back on day number 81 of 365 Live. And my favorite question, what have you been doing for the past 81 days of the year, remains the question, right? And today, I've been talking about my practice and all the different things that I do. And today, my big question is, how many people still actually read books? How many people still actually read and enjoy books? I have read so many books, it's bubbling over inside of me. The amount of books that I have read over the years and still continue to read on a daily basis. I spend some of my day, I try to take out some of my day to either read a book or write a book, right? So there's always a book in my repertoire somewhere. And as a result of the writing part, I have written several of them. And, you know, I'm not just here to talk about the books, I'm talking about the journey, the author journey. I recently did a interview and the person was asking me about the author, and everybody asks, how did you become an author? Well, not intentionally. Not intentionally. I was on the floor. You hit the floor. And you guys have, those of you who have been following me, you know my story. But do you really know my story? You only know what you're seeing. You only know it just looks so amazing out there and wonderful out there. But do you really know the story? And do you really know what it takes to get to a story? Everybody listening has a story. What is your story? And you don't have to write a book, but at least tell somebody, because your story may be the thing to get that person to the next place in their healing and their wholeness. And so, I am here today to talk about my journey, my author journey. I never thought about being an author. That was never my intention. But when I lost just about everything I owned and I was sitting on the floor, I literally picked up a pen and a piece of paper and just started to write. And I wrote what was happening to me at the time, which to me was devastating. All of us, when we're going through stuff, it's devastating. We feel like we're just not going to make it. We're just not going to, for me, felt like I just wouldn't make it off the floor. I hit floor, hit bottom, hit you're in the middle of the ashes. When there's ashes, there's been a fire. And sometimes the fire is huge. You lose everything you own and you feel like, what? How am I going to recover from this? And you start talking to yourself and feeling like you're literally going crazy in your mind. And you're talking to yourself, where, how, why is always the big question. This morning I was listening or reading something that one of my favorite authors wrote, Dr. Cindy Trim, about, the why. Instead of asking why, ask how, because how is how you get to your destination. It's how you get to your vision. It's how you get to your dreams. So, but at the time when it's happening, you're sitting there, why? Why me? Why is this happening? Why? And you can't even figure out how to get up from it. How do I get up from it? And you need some assistance sometimes. And I have a friend, her name is, I call her Rosie. She's my Rosie. She's been my Rosie for many, many years, and she still is. This lady has impacted my life in ways that she does not even know or understand. But she was the one who got me off the floor. And she didn't do it by picking me up. She did it by just leaving me there, so that I could do it myself. Her statement was, you're not going to die. And behind it, she said, on my watch. You're not going to die on my watch. You need to get up and get it together. And she gave me a slam dunk after that. 24 hours. I give you 24 hours to get it together, young lady. 24 hours. And she grabbed my children, who were 6 and 8 at the time, grabbed them, took them up the stairs. All I saw was the back of this 4'11" woman climbing the stairs, looking like an amazing giant on that day to me. But her statement got me to think about all of it. And I picked up the paper. I don't even know what paper that was. It could have been a receipt of some kind, which is what I thought it was. And I just started to write what was happening to me. What was happening to me at the time. I wrote about it. I just kept writing every day. And that day, when she got back to me, she said, well, what have you decided? And I said, well, I'm going back to school. I'm going to go back to school, Rosie. What are you going to do when you get there? I don't know, was my answer, because I really didn't know. I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I didn't know anything. I had dropped out of college thinking I was going to make it as a fashion designer, such a fashionista all the time. But God had another plan. He had another plan. And I got up off that floor and I went back to school with a vengeance. But today we're talking about the stories that I've written, and none of them are fiction, right? None of them, they're all true stories, whether I'm writing about the biblical stuff, whether I'm writing to my woman out there, I call it Embracing Our Queenly Anointing, or 31 Days of Wholeness devotional for women, whether I'm writing to new people that just got saved, just started knowing Jesus, and I call it Newbies in the Kingdom, whether I'm writing the beginning of my story, calling it Weapons for Victory, Memoirs of a Perfect Storm, because that's what got me into that position in the first place, was a hurricane, or whether I'm calling it Armored and Victorious, Memoirs of a Crossover Season, because I knew I had to cross over to get to where I needed to be, or whether I'm collaborating with other people and calling it the Fiercely Unstoppable Entrepreneur. Whatever I've written, there was a purpose behind it. There was a purpose behind it. And I've had quite a few readers. Thank you to my readers out there. Thank you very much for reading the story. But I hope that after you read it, it impacted you to get up out of your own ashes and get on with life, because you're not going to die. I came today to tell somebody, whatever you're going through, it's not a death sentence. It's actually a life sentence, a life on earth sentence, not behind bars, but a life on earth. You've been given an assignment and you get to do it. You're the only one who can do it. But if you don't, just like Mordecai said to Esther in the book of Esther, he said, if you don't do it, young lady, somebody else will. And so I'm here to encourage somebody. Have you started a book that you need to write? Finish it. Finish it. When I started my first book, Weapons for Victory, Memoirs of a Perfect Storm, I kept it saved in a file somewhere for a very, very long time, because there was so much information that I didn't want anybody to know. And that's our mantra. I don't want anybody to know. Well, God knows, and you know, and somebody needs to know so that they can get on with life as well. Not every book is going to be published, but just start writing, because I've learned throughout my career as a counselor that writing is healing. Writing is healing. Writing is healing. So get to writing. Write something. Do something. Where are you today? Are you still sitting in the ashes? Are you still, how long have you been sitting there? And I get to encourage you today by talking about my journey as an author. That's the journey. It's not very exciting when you think about it. Is, oh my gosh, I don't want to be doing that, is what you're probably saying. But for me, it's been the journey of my life, because that author journey has gotten my foot in the door of so many places where I get to talk to other people about the journey and watch their journey come to life. Because none of it was about me. It wasn't about me. It was about all the people that I would be able to help on this author journey. So I decided this day, to somebody just interviewed me on a podcast. And as I jumped off of it, I said, I need to really talk about this journey a little bit more so that I can help some people. And so I'm going to spend a few days talking about each one of the books, that I've written. They have not come easy. They've all come with lemons, like I talked about the other day. But at the end of it, these books have become my sweet lemonade that I have been able to write and get into the hands of other people so they get to read. And some of them have written as well. Others have just been healed as well. And so that's where we're going this week. And we're starting it on day number 81 of 365 Live. Who would have thought I would still be here on day number 81? I've been ducking and doing all kinds of things, from being live on these social media platforms. But I realized that I have a voice. God has given me an amazing voice. And it started on the floor in the ashes. Who would have thought that a voice could come from that? So I'm here to tell you today, if you're still stuck in the ashes, or you know somebody that is, tell them it's time to get up. It's time to get up. It's time to get with it. It's time to have a voice. And so today, thank you for listening to my voice. And I hope that after listening and listening and listening, you will go and get one of my books. Whatever book you choose, if you order it from me, it comes with little gifts. And so I encourage you, not just for the gifts, but to actually read, start to read. Reading is still fundamental. Reading is still amazing. It's all hidden somewhere in a book that you have chosen not to read because you've told yourself, I don't like to read. Well, it's time to read again. It's time to read again. There's a lot happening out there. I've read so many amazing stories. Of different people that keep encouraging me every single day to keep going and going and going and never to stop. And so I'm here to encourage you today. I went to a International Maxwell Conference the other day. You probably saw me out there getting certified as a speaker and all the things. But the greatest takeaway was listening to the testimonial of a man at 77 years old telling me he has written 90 books and still has a few in his headspace that still has yet to be written. How encouraging is that? How old are you? How young are you? What are you waiting for? And so I am here to encourage you today. Write your story. Tell your story. Give it a go. Give it a go. Read one of my books, and I hope it will encourage you to become an author as well. And not just any author, but a number one best-selling author. So if you want one of the books, the website to go to would be drsharonbooks.com or Inspired Wholeness Enterprise, inspiredwholenesscounseling.com/publications, and that's where you will find the books. So thank you for joining me today. I put the links in the post. If you want to purchase, go ahead and purchase. They're not expensive. That's not an excuse. You don't like to read, that's not an excuse. There is no excuse for not reading. And some of you, there is no more excuse for not writing. Thank you for joining me today, and have a blessed and wonderful day.